Story time. My parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So a little background information. My parents are super strict, especially my dad. And on top of that, my dad thought that races should not mix. One of his sayings was, "You don't see a blue jay fucking a pigeon." AKA, white people and black people should not be together. Sounds fucking stupid. Yeah, I know. Anyways, like I was saying, it was my freshman year of high school and I had been dating this boy for 2 months. And of course he was white. And we had to keep it super low-key because if any of my friends found out about it, they would have fucking told my dad. Now when I look back at it, those weren't good friends at all. Anyways, every Friday, my boyfriend and I would go to the movies. And we would go to this theater that was 45 minutes away because nobody that I knew would be there. The only person that knew that I was dating a white boy was my sister. Well, the one day after the movies, I couldn't get a ride home, so I had to get a ride home with him and his family. And as soon as I pulled up, my parents were waiting outside, like for part 2. Story time. My parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So a little background information. My parents are super strict, especially my dad. And on top of that, my dad thought that races should not mix. One of his sayings was, "You don't see a blue jay fucking a pigeon." AKA, white people and black people should not be together. Sounds fucking stupid. Yeah, I know. Anyways, like I was saying, it was my freshman year of high school and I had been dating this boy for 2 months. And of course he was white. And we had to keep it super low-key because if any of my friends found out about it, they would have fucking told my dad. Now when I look back at it, those weren't good friends at all. Anyways, every Friday, my boyfriend and I would go to the movies. And we would go to this theater that was 45 minutes away because nobody that I knew would be there. The only person that knew that I was dating a white boy was my sister. Well, the one day after the movies, I couldn't get a ride home, so I had to get a ride home with him and his family. And as soon as I pulled up, my parents were waiting outside, like for part 2.
So it's Friday night. My man tells me he's going to go out with the boys for a little while. So, of course, a couple hours later, I check his location on the OnStar, which, by the way, he knows absolutely nothing about. And he's at this particular address that's unfamiliar to me. And I'm like, you know what? The last few times he's gone out, he's been going to this address. And I'm now really curious. I want to know who the fuck lives there. I'm like, I need to stalk his ass. So I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, I got to call my sister to come over here. She'll watch the kids while they're sleeping. I'll take her car, go to this apartment, look through the window and see what's going on. And imagine I look through the window and he's sitting there with some fucking bitch having drinks on the couch, laughing, joking, having fun. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I need to kick the door down and beat both their asses. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're overreacting a little bit. Let's take a moment and give him a call, see if he actually answers the phone. So I give him a call. The first ring, he doesn't answer. My heart's palpitating. The second ring, I'm like, I got to call my sister right now. And just as I'm about to hang up, he answers the phone. He's like, hey, babe, what's up? And I'm like, hey, babe, what you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm at the bar, we used to go to before you had the baby. And I'm like, oh, tell everybody I said what's up. And he's like, hey, the wifey said what's up. And I'm like, shit, I almost killed someone innocent.
focused on my career, and since I am single, I wasn't sure if having a baby would ever happen. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was overjoyed. My brother is married but has made it very clear that he will be child-free. I got a shirt for my nephew to wear that says, "This is what an awesome big cousin looks like." I wanted him to wear it during our family dinner. My sister was the first one to notice the shirt, and everyone immediately began to assume it was my sister-in-law who was pregnant. I wasn't hurt at them assuming this because she is married. I was hurt because my sister-in-law didn't try to correct them. She just went along with it and began to rub her flat belly while laughing. I tried to explain, but they all didn't hear me and just continued to fawn over my sister-in-law. I got up and went home. I received multiple texts saying I'm an asshole for making this all about me and I'm just bitter. Morning, my sister-in-law must have finally let it slip that she is not pregnant. They have all now called me to apologize, saying that they all just got caught up in the moment. My sister-in-law sent me a message that said the way I chose to announce was how she wanted to do it if she ever got pregnant. She said that since she is not ever having a child, she wanted to experience what the moment would be like. To me, there's no fixing this. I will eventually forgive them, but I don't want to do a second announcement so they feel better. Am I the asshole?
So when I was younger, the girls in my school liked guys who play sports. And well, I was the music kid, so I didn't get that much attention. So I went to my oldest brother for a little advice. Yo, bro, you gotta be straight up with these girls. So I tried the straight up approach. Yo, straight up, I like you. Give me your number, girl. She gave me her number. Wait, there's only 6 numbers here. Dang. Sometimes you gotta act like you don't care. Girls want what they can't have. So I tried the I don't care approach.
Hey, Desmond.
Yo, girl, I don't care about all that. I only care about your number. Is you gonna give it to me?
Boy, bye.
Alright, sometimes girls like when you're desperate. Try that. Look, girl, I love you. I loved you from the moment I saw you. So please, please give me your number, girl. I'm begging you out here. Look at me, girl. I love you. I love you.
Ew.
Yo, bro, I don't know what you're doing wrong. Just try.
Told her to get off, finding
My partner of over 3 years has been living with me for the past 18 months. We're in our 30s, happy, and talk about how this is it for us, relationship-wise. There's just one problem. He doesn't want to get married, and I really do. Marriage is important to me. However, after many long discussions, I realized that I love him enough to stay and take marriage off the table, even though I really want it. Now here's the issue. I got paperwork for my insurance a few days ago, and I made a joke about how my parents are going to be really comfortable if I die, especially in an accident, because of my insurance policies and the added accidental death insurance I have. My boyfriend and I got to talking, and he mentioned how I should really change my beneficiary to him. I said no, absolutely not. I told him I would never make anyone who isn't blood or legal family my beneficiary. I said I would add him in the future if one day he decided he wanted to get married, but as it stands now, my insurance will remain as is. I also told him I wouldn't add him to the title of my house without marriage because I bought it before we got together and I own it. Now he thinks that I'm an asshole for holding marriage as a bargaining chip. We don't have to get married, but I'm not comfortable tying my finances to him without it. So am I wrong here?
When I was 27, my boyfriend proposed to me. We both have stable jobs and decided to plan the wedding immediately. Around the same time, my brother proposed to his 24-year-old girlfriend and they started planning for the wedding as well. One day, my future sister-in-law called me to see if we can go over wedding planning. That's when she told me if I could get married in the afternoon and that she could get married an hour or two later and then we share the reception. She said it'd become a great way for us to become sisters and that this will mean the world to my brother. In reality, I know that they aren't financially well off and she wants the fancy wedding without the fancy wedding price tag. I didn't really know what to say, but I told her that's mine and my fiancé's wedding. We planned it for us and we want it to be about us. She exploded in anger and said I wouldn't understand how hurtful it is to see the amazing wedding that I'm planning and know that she couldn't have something like that. I told her I waited to get married so that I could afford the wedding I wanted. And she said she wants to get married before she's old and dried up like some people. She called me heartless and a selfish bitch. I stormed off and my brother called me a few days later. He asked if I could please reconsider. I told him I didn't want to share my wedding day and I wasn't sure if I even wanted his fiancé there.
This is why you should never let your Uber driver cancel your ride while you're still in the car. I went dancing with some friends one night and got really drunk by midnight. My phone was dead and I was so drunk that I barely remember my friend calling me an Uber. I can vaguely remember them helping me in the car and telling me to get home safe. That's when he asked me how my night was and if I smoked. At this point, I sort of just slurred out that I did sometimes. He then offered me a J and this is when I started to get nervous and started paying attention. I tell him something like I'm really tired and just ready to go home. He keeps insisting and once again I say something not exactly like no, but not a yes, which he takes as a yes. I'm so drunk I can barely see straight or speak clearly. That's when he says, okay, I have to cancel the ride really quick because I can't give it to you while I'm on the clock. It takes me a second to realize how dangerous that is, and by the time I start to say something, he's canceled the ride and pulled over in the middle of nowhere. At this point, I'm panicking, I'm taking fake hits, and I'm thinking to myself how I can get out of this situation. After it's done, I tell him I can always call another Uber and he doesn't have to take me home. But he says he still has my address and he'll take me. As he starts driving, I tell myself to calm down and that I'm being paranoid. But that's when I realize he's going farther north and passing every exit that could get me back to my apartment.
Hold up. Just don't scroll yet. Look. All I need you to do, just like the video. You ain't even gotta follow. Just like the motherfucker. Just like this bitch. The motherfucking like button somewhere around this shit, you know?
My buddy picks up his phone and calls his dad. His dad answers and he says, Dad, we're in a bit of a pickle. So his dad's just like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Do what I told you to do. So pretty much he just wrote us this route we had to go if we had to run. When you look at this kid's house from a hole, there's the main driveway that leads up to the garage. And then on the side of that driveway, there's a gravel driveway that's like surrounded by trees. So he has two driveways. So we're in the woods right now. We navigate, dude. We do all these fucking maneuvers and we had to go through a bunch of thorn bushes. I'm getting scraped up. Now, something I didn't mention before. I had a backpack on with some herb in it. About 3.5 grams. So yeah, I was like shitting my pants. So we're going this route his dad told us to go, and eventually we hit the gravel driveway. We see his dad parked in his SUV right at the end of the driveway waiting for us to just get in the car. The only problem was on the main driveway, there had to have been at least 8 cop cars. We looked to our
My husband and I were expecting our first daughter and he suggested the name Tiffany and I fell in love. When I asked what made him pick it, he said he saw it in a movie. I didn't think much of it, and so a couple weeks later I called my sister-in-law to let her know we're going to name our daughter Tiffany. She was super surprised because she said she never wanted to name her child after her husband's high school girlfriend. I was really confused, but then she told me that they were together from sophomore year of high school to junior year of college. I knew he had a long-term relationship, but I never knew the girl's name. After hanging up, I confronted my husband and he tried blowing it off at first, but eventually admitted that it was true. I told him I'm refusing to name my daughter after his ex-girlfriend, and he told me it's too late, I'm overreacting, and I can't change my mind since I'm only due in 5 more weeks. I basically cried to get as much information as I can when he finally told me that she had contacted him because she was getting married and was having second thoughts. My husband admitted that talking to her made him realize he never stopped having feelings for her, but he loved me too. The reason he suggested the name was because he knew he couldn't leave me to be with her, so he wanted something to honor her with. What do I do?